Sharing is a unique feature of Windows 8 and a key differentiator from the iPad. The general idea is that it stops one application's data from being siloed away from any other applications. Apps either declare themselves as being able to share data, able to receive shared data, or a combination of the two. The general idea of the approach is that applications register themselves as being able to share certain types of data. So data can be shared as plain text, RTF, HTML, bitmaps, files, or URIs. And the general idea here is that you don't declare a format, you just say I'm able to share plain text or I'm able to share bitmaps, and you allow the other applications to make sense of the data. So there isn't a sort of an idea of contracts here where you're able to do a specific sort of task. All you're really saying is that you can share data. This is similar to the DDE functions that used to be in very early versions of Windows. It is possible to share your own custom data, but I don't recommend doing this. The value of using sharing in Windows 8 is that it enriches each application as they're installed. If you say there has to be custom data that has to be understood, it implies you need specific applications installed. If you happen to be developing line of business applications, there are some arguments for doing this where you can allow the two applications to share. In order to handle outbound sharing, you need to use the Data Transfer Manager to tell Windows that you want to be asked for shared data. When the user selects the share charm, your application will be called and you have an opportunity then to provide that data. The request handler is registered globally, and the first thing you need to do is dereference the current page. So in the demo we're about to see, I'll show you how to do this using an interface. When it comes time to actually share your information, you first of all need to send some metadata about the information you're sharing, which can just be a title and description, and that's what we'll actually do in the demo, and then you send the actual data. Let's now have a look at a demo. For this demo, we're going to be sharing some basic text. And what I've done here is created a XAML design surface with a text box with some text in it. The user is able to key any text they want into this, bring up the share charm, say they want to share, and that text will be shared with any application that understands text. The first thing we have to do is go into the app.xaml file and register the handler. So the way to do this is to find the on-launched event that Visual Studio will give for you and register it at the end. Now, there are a number of different features in Windows 8 that require this form of registration. So what I tend to do is break them out into separate methods. So here I'm going to create a method called setupSharing. I'm then going to create a method stub for that. And in here, I can register the handler. And this is done by accessing a manager, Data Transfer Manager, get for current view. To that I then create an event handler for the data requested event, which I can do using Visual Studio Autocomplete. What we have to do here is dereference the page which is active, and we're going to do this using an interface. So we'll go into the objects folder, say that we want to create a new class, which I'm going to call iSharingSource. Now, I'm going to trim the namespace and I'm going to say that it's going to be a public interface, and at the moment I'm going to leave it without any methods in it because I'm going to auto create those when we come to use it. Going back to our app.xaml class, what we need to do is dereference the view. So I'm going to create a new method called getCurrentPage. And then I'm going to say if page is iSharingSource, we're going to cast it, and then we're going to say get share data. And what we've got given here as part of our event handler is a data requested event args object. Inside of that we have a request class, and that's what we're actually going to pass through to the interface. Let's correct that spelling there. If I then go into here and do generate method stub, if we go and look at the iSharingSource, we'll find that that method's there. Now I think that's pretty untidy, so what I'm going to do is get rid of that and then resolve out that namespace. And I'm also going to rename that to request so it's a little bit shorter. So then what we need to do now is build getCurrentPage. That's going to return a page instance, And we need to start by dereferencing the current frame, and then from the frame look at its content property and return a page. So in order to get the frame, we just do window.current.content, and we'll cast that, and then we'll just return page frame.content. And again, we're being very optimistic here, and there's no defensive coding in there, but most Windows 8 apps will follow this structure, so that should work absolutely fine. To see how far we're getting with this, what we'll do is we'll put a breakpoint on, and we'll run the application. And here's our application with the text, and we'll bring up the share charm, and we'll see our breakpoint gets hit. And we can go in and we can check to see that page is valid. But of course, page won't be an instance of iSharing source because we haven't implemented that yet, so nothing will happen.